السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم، أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني. ربي زدني علما، اللهم فقهنا في الدين. آمين. Inshallah, today we'll begin with juz number 23, Surah Yasin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayah number 22. وَمَا لِيَ لَا أَعْبُدُ الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي وَإِلَيْهِ. And why should I not worship who created me and to whom you will be resurrected? This is the statement of the person who believed in what the prophets had said. People, when we have come from Allah, we have to return to Him one day, then why should we forget about Him right now? Why should we not worship Him right now? So he talks about himself that Wamali. Wamaliya, what is the reason that I do not worship Allah? When it only makes sense that we have come from Him and we go to Him, then we should only worship Him. What justification do we have of not worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Our Rabb, our Ilah, who created us? What is it that prevents us from worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What excuse do we have? What reason do we have to not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And really, if you think about it, there's none. There's nothing. No excuse that we can come up with that we can, this is why I cannot worship Allah. Because the fact is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has fatara. He's the one who has created me, who has brought me into existence, meaning I am what I am because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I belong to Allah. So why should I not love Him? Why should I not worship Him? Why should I not surrender to Him? Why should I not show my servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why should I not thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obey Him and try to please Him? Why do I give preference to others over Him? Should I take other than Him false deities? While if the most merciful intends for me some adversity, their intercession will not avail me at all, nor can they save me. Meaning these false gods are of no use whatsoever. Indeed, I would then be in manifest error. Inni amantu bi rabbikum. Indeed, I have believed in your Lord, so listen to me. But this man who came running and he told people that he worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why do you not obey your prophets? He said, listen to me. But instead, they killed him. It was said when he was killed, it was told to him, it was said, enter paradise. Udkhulil Jannah. He said, Qala ya layta qawmi ya'lamun. He said, I wish my people could know. So these people neither listened to this man, nor did they show him any regard. Instead, they killed him. And when they killed him, he was entered into Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored him for the very statement that his people killed him for, that he was believing in oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and because of which he was killed, Allah honored him. What he said with sincerity became the reason for his entry into Jannah. And what did this man say? Oh, my people could know what happened to me. And he said, of how my Lord has forgiven me. My Lord has forgiven me and placed me among the honored. So even after this man is dead, he wants the best for his people. Even after they killed him, he wanted good for them. Think about it, if someone were to say one harsh word to us, we get so upset that we would make all sorts of exceptions for ourselves to take revenge. But this guy is not even angry. So pure is he that he just wants people to know the truth so that they don't miss out. This is true well-wishing. So this is not about him at all. This is all about people knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being able to recognize Allah and being able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so that they are saved. They are also honored. And this is actually a prophetic character. We learned that the most difficult day that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam endured in his words was actually the day of Taif, when people not only rejected him, but they also humiliated him with stones and insults, and they chased him out of the city. And while he rested in a garden, he looked up to the sky and he said, I saw a cloud shading me unexpectedly. I looked up and saw Jibreel, and he called me, saying that Allah has heard your people saying to you and what they have replied back to you, and Allah has sent the angel of the mountains to you so that you may order him to do whatever you wish to. And the angel of the mountains called and greeted the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they said, "O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, order whatever you wish. If you like, I will let the two mountains fall upon them." And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No, I hope that Allah will let them have children who will worship Allah alone and will worship none besides Him." This is how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. This is beyond forgiveness. One is that we are angry with someone we have heard, and so we are being patient. A higher level is that we forgive them. And an even higher level is that you are not concerned about yourself. You're concerned about others, that I want good for them. And this is prophetic character. See that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was so patient in this regard. We learned that he was affected by magic, and the charm was great. And Zayd bin Arqam said that no mention of that was made to that Jew. Meaning the Jew who had performed the magic on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't even say anything to him. And he did not say that in his. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so forgiving. And look at this man, so forgiving, so focused on bringing good to others. And he doesn't really care about how he was treated. He wants, even after death, he's so sincere. He wants people to know that how he was honored, and these are the people who killed him. And he had well-wishing for them. And we did not send down upon his people after him any soldiers from the heavens, nor would we have done so. It was not but one shout, and immediately they were extinguished. And these people thought so highly of themselves. They thought they were so mighty that they were prophets of Allah. And then this man who was invited them, they killed him also. But what happened to these mighty people? One blast was enough to finish them off. One blast. Ya hasratan ala al-ibad. How regretful for the servants. What a pity. There did not come to them any messenger except that they used to ridicule him. Meaning they never showed any regard for those who actually for them. Why did they deny? Why do people deny now? Have they not considered how many generations we destroyed before them? That they to them will not return. And indeed, all of them will yet be brought present before us. They'll be presented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a sign for them is the dead earth. We have brought it to life and brought forth from it rain, and from it they eat. And we place therein gardens of palm trees and grapevines, and cause to burst forth therefrom some springs. Ya'kulu min samari, that they may eat of its fruit. Meaning the fruit that we eat, the food that we consume, who does it belong to? It belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning He owns it. He's the one who has created it. And their hands have not produced it. So will they not be grateful? SubhanAllah, we feel so proud of ourselves. We feel beyond entitled. When we buy food, we feel that it is ours. We can do whatever we want. But the fact is that even the food we eat belongs to Allah. When we sit down to eat today, let us observe the food. Ask yourself, did I make this fruit myself? Did I make those coffee beans myself? Which human made it? Is this the product of a factory or some fancy equipment? No, all of that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of these factories and equipments will be useless if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not cause food to grow with its distinct fragrance, taste, color, features. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Afala yashkurun. So will they not be grateful? Meaning, aren't you going to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And how is it that we can thank Allah? Especially after we eat. We learned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he finished eating or his dining sheet was taken away, he would say, Alhamdulillahi alladhi kafana wa awwana ghayra wala makfur. That praise be to Allah, Alhamdulillahi alladhi, who has satisfied our needs and quenched our thirst. Your favor cannot be compensated or denied. Ya Allah, we can never thank you enough. We can never deny the fact that this blessing is truly from you. On another occasion, he said, Alhamdulillahi Rabbina, that all praise to you, our Lord. Ghayra makfiyin, your favor cannot be compensated. Wala muwaddi', nor can it be left, nor it can be dispensed with. Rabbana, our Lord. Meaning we cannot survive without your favor. So it is very important that after we eat, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the du'as that we have available, they are available in books, they're available even in apps. So there's so many great apps that we can download and we can read these du'as and express gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after having your food. And also beginning, when we start our food, we eat in the name of Allah, who is the one who provided this food for us. By now, I hope we all have memorized the dua of opening the fast. When we open the fast, we make the dua. ذهب الذنب وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها. Exalted is He who created all pairs, from what the earth grows, and from themselves, and from that which they do not know. Subhanallah. This is said in amazement. That amazing is my Lord. People fail to recognize His glory. That He created everything in pairs. Plants, animals, humans. Yes, humans we are aware that we are created in pairs, but so are the animals and the plants and all other non-living things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator. He's unique. He does not have any equal or partner. وَآيَةٌ لَهُمُ اللَّيْلُ, and a sign for them is the night. We remove from it the light of the day, so they are left in darkness. So the movement of the sun is mentioned over here. If the sun is moving, you know that the sun alone is not moving, everything around it is moving, meaning the entire galaxy. That is also moving along with the sun. That is massive. So what is that order? What is that system, that force, that energy? The entire galaxy is moving. This space. So yes, this all physics is not random. Like someone said that if you would take me, it would take me more faith to believe that there is no God than to believe that there is God. Because this is all not random. This is taqdeer. ذَلِكَ تَقْدِير. This is all determined, planned, decided. This is all planned and decided by who? Al-Aziz Al-Alim. The one who is Al-Aziz, the ever mighty, who has subjected and controlled these mighty creatures. And he's also Al-Alim, ever knowing, who has planned every minute detail. The specific angle, the degrees, precious. Now do you recognize him? Wal-Qamar, and the moon. We have determined for it phases until it returns appearing like the old date stalk. Meaning it becomes so thin and fine that at times you don't even see it in the horizon. And then you have your battles. Has Ramadan begun or not? Has Ramadan ended or not? So subhanallah. And the moon we have determined for his phases until it returns, appearing like an old date stalk. It is not allowable. It is not possible for to reach the moon, nor does the night overtake the day, but each in an orbit swimming. وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبَحُونَ. Every single celestial body has its own path, its unique function, its own time and duration, and this is also perfectly organized. And this is mind-blowing. So we see over here how the sun is moving along on its course, the moon on its course, time, the day comes at its time, but it's astonishing how we focus on these things. Our focus is entirely on the work of other people. We are constantly thinking about other people who have done great work. What about all these signs? How much shukr, reflection do we pay to all these signs around us? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding of all these signs here. And a sign for them is that we meet their forefathers in a laden ship. This is the ship of Nuh alayhi salam. And we created for them from the life of it that which they ride. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also given us other means of transportation. And there's also the ship of desert, the camel. And if we should will, we could have drowned them. Then no one responding to a cry would there be for them, nor would they be saved. Illa rahmatam, as the mercy from us. وَمَتَاعًا إِلَىٰ and provision for a time. So any time that you are on a plane or a boat, so many things could go wrong. So many things could cause devastation. So many lives could be lost. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls safely, this is the mercy of Allah. Illa rahmatam minna. To reach the shore, to turn the car off, to reach your destination safely in your car, in your vehicle. This is truly a blessing from Allah. And we should remember that our freedom is not forever. This is a provision for a time. But when it is said to them, beware of what is before you and what is behind you, meaning have fear. Something could come upon you from before you and from behind you. The dangers that you don't even know. Think about what you have done. Think about what you're doing. Learn from the past. Meaning show humility to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so that you receive His mercy. What is the response? And no sign comes. But what happens to them? No sign comes to them from the signs of their Lord except that they are turning away. The signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When it is said to them, spend from that which Allah has provided for you. Those who disbelieve say to those who believe, should we feed one whom if Allah had willed, He would have fed? You are not but in clear error. So look at the excuse these people present when it is told to them to spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give everyone everything, and He does. But He gives more to some people so that they can get the opportunity to give those who are less fortunate, to those who have less. Perhaps through that they can earn some reward. So Allah has put the right in our income, in our wealth of other people. So remember, the surplus money that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, it is not just for us to our vacations only. Right? Yes, we can take vacation, but it's not just only for us to fulfill our desires, our wish list. No, it is the right of others. Give them and not come up with such lame excuses. Allah wanted, He could have given them. So why should I spend on them? Because you are tested. If you have extra, you must spend. See, when is this promise? people, so they're not even scared of the day of judgment. They do not await except one blast which will seize them while they're disputing. And yet the day of judgment will come suddenly upon people. In fact, death also comes suddenly. Sometimes while people are buying, selling, arguing in the gatherings, in their markets, and now we don't even have to go to marketplaces to argue. We can just do it online, have these wars online, comments. To save your life. Your life is precious. Don't waste it. And useless discussions, arguments, because death will come suddenly, for which we have to prepare now. And give any instruction, nor to the people can they return. This is the reality. When the angel of death comes and you're battling your last breaths, you will not be able to give instructions to people. Nor can you come back. And the horn will be blown. نُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ, and the horn will be blown. It's referring to the second time the trumpet will be blown. فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَنْسِلُونَ. And at once from their graves to the Lord they will hasten. They will say, "Oh, woe to us! Who has raised us up from our sleeping place?" The reply will be, "This is what the most merciful, هَذَا مَا وَعَدَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَصَدَقَ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. This is what the most merciful had promised, and the messengers told the truth. إِن كَانَتْ إِلَّا صَيْحَةً وَاحِدَةً. It will not be but one blast, and at once they all are brought present before us. So today no soul will be wronged at all, and you will not be recompensed except for what you used to do. Meaning the day of judgment, you will see what you earned yesterday in the life of the world, you will be fully recompensed. And we should trust this promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So any good action, as small as an atom's weight, any smile, any sadaqah, any charity, any forgiveness, anytime you forgive someone, everything will be compensated. Inna ashab al-jannati al-yawma fi shughl. Indeed, the companions of Jannah, paradise, that day will be amused in joyful occupation. Jannah will be taken quickly into their blessings. Remember that some people will be taken into paradise even before the people of hell are taken into hell. Why? So that they are not disturbed by seeing them. We learn in a hadith that Jannah will be brought into view to the people, and in its full adornment and decoration, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, Aina ibadi, where are those servants of mine who fought in my way, or udu fi sabili, or who were hurt in my way, and they strove in my way, wajahadu fi sabili, strove in my way. Allah will say, where are those servants of mine? And it will be said to them, enter Jannah. So they will enter Jannah, paradise without hisab, without any accounting. Allahumma ja'alna minhum. May Allah make each one of us among those. هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون. They and their spouse in shade, reclining on adorned couches. So yes, nobody will be single in Jannah. For them therein is fruit and whatever they request. وَلَهُمْ مَا يَدَّعُونَ. Whatever they request. Jannah is a place of fulfilling all your desires. And you see, fruit for Arabs was a delicacy. It was a mark of luxury because it didn't grow in the desert. It was only brought from outside, from the north or from the south. So it was also very expensive. So this is the food of the people of Jannah, luxurious fruit. Salamun qawlam min Rabbir Rahim. Peace, a word from a most merciful Lord. Subhanallah, a word from a merciful Lord. Imagine getting directly addressed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Getting salam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How does it feel when you respect someone, when you like someone, maybe a friend, maybe a teacher, someone you look up to, and you feel honored, you feel happy, And here we're talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbul Alameen, addressing you. وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Then they will say, but stand apart, O you criminals. Meaning in the world, you were mixed with the righteous. You benefited from their presence. But now that time is up. Did I not enjoin upon you, O children of Adam, that you do not worship Shaitan, for he is to you a clear enemy, that you worshipped and that you worship him only me. This is a straight path. وَأَنِ اعْبُدُونِي. Remember, we are supposed to oppose Shaitan, not obey him. And remember, the call of Shaitan is the opposite always to the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah calls you to prayer, he will take you away from prayer, waste your time, make you busy in something else. If Allah calls you for obedience, he will call you for disobedience. If Allah calls you to wear hijab, dress modestly, he will call you to the opposite side. So all commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying, fasting, giving zakah, hijab, or anything like that. And the call of Shaitan is what is opposite to death. Don't pray, don't give, don't cover. This is all the call of Shaitan. So the question is, listen, your Rabb, the one who created you, or Shaitan, who is your clear, open enemy. He wants to take you to Jahannam with him. And he had already led astray from among you much of the creation. So did you not used to reason? هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمُ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. This is the hellfire which you were promised. Meaning you were warned of this in the world. إِسْلَوْهَا الْيَوْمَ. Enter to burn therein today for what you used to deny. That day we will seal over their mouths, and their hands will speak to us. And their feet will testify about what they used to earn. So hands and feet will speak on the day of judgment. Of where we went with them, what we did with these hands and feet, who we hit, who we pinched, what we typed, what we wrote, what we swiped. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cause these hands and feet to speak on the day of judgment. In a hadith we learned, when you will be brought on day of judgment, your mouths will be sealed, and the first thing to speak from your body will be the thighs and the palm of your hand. In another hadith we learned, it would be said to his thighs, to his flesh, to his bones to speak, and his thighs, flesh, bones will bear witness to his deeds. Why? So that he should not be able to make any excuse for himself. Meaning on the day of judgment, we will not be able to give any explanation or present any excuse that, oh Allah, I didn't do this, I didn't obey you in this matter because I had this and this reason. Or I disobeyed you because of such and such person. No, our words are not going to save us on the day of judgment because our body will speak against us. It is our actions that will be visible. We will not be able to speak. وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَطَمَسْنَا عَلَىٰ أَعْيُنِهِمْ. And if we willed, we could have obliterated their, and they would race to find the path. How could they see? And if we willed, we in their places, so they would not be able to proceed, nor could they return. Imagine the freedom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us today, where we have different abilities to see. We have different abilities. We can see, talk, communicate, move around, run, walk, climb, travel to different places. These are all God-given. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take them away that He wants. So we must realize that we belong to Allah. We don't belong to ourselves. So our life should not just be about pleasing ourselves, fulfilling every wish that we have. We must use our lives to strive to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to do things in His way, to be most loyal to our Creator. And to Him, and He to Him we grant long life, we reverse in creation. وَمَنْ نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسْهُ فِي الْخَلْقِ أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. So will they not understand? Meaning a person goes back to absolute dependence, utter weakness. So when you see an elderly person, see your future in them. Remind yourself that this is what I am heading towards, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you, and realize at the same time your temporary nature. The fact that your faculties, your abilities, your strengths are all temporary in this world. So do something before you lose them, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protection from, from an abject old age. وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ الشِّعْرَ وَمَا يَنْبَغِي لَهُ. He did not give Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam knowledge of poetry, nor it is befitting for him. It is not but a message and a clear Quran. Quran is not a poetry, it is a message from our Creator. This is a message of the Creator for the creation, to warn whoever is alive and justify the word against the disbelievers. Subhanallah. We recite Surah Yasin when someone has died. But what is it saying? That this message is to warn whoever is alive. So we think that we can recite Surah Yasin on a dead person and we can transfer the reward to him. Allahu A'lam. Whether that happens or not, there's a difference of opinion regarding that. But the thing is that Quran has come to warn the person who is alive, the person who has a living heart. And that is the heart of a believer, the heart that is spiritually alive. But it is not just enough to believe. In order to benefit from the Quran, it is important that the heart is also present. It is attentive. It is willing to accept, to learn, to benefit. Such a person benefits from the Quran. But the person whose heart, or the person whose heart is distracted, then even if they know the whole Quran, it cannot be beneficial for them. Do they not see that we have for them from what our hands have made, grazing livestock, and then they are their owners? So these creatures that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for benefit, yes, we become the owners. We can do whatever we want with them. We think so highly of ourselves because we own certain things, but in reality, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has created those animals. And you are so that you are able to tame them. We are able to domesticate them because Allah had made it possible. We are able to easily milk them, slaughter them. Imagine if goats and sheep were like lions and tigers. It would be impossible for us to benefit from them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it possible. وَذَلَّلْنَاهَا لَهُمْ. And we have tamed them for them. We have tamed them for them, meaning these animals are tamed for human beings. So some of them, they ride. We are able to sit on these animals like horse and go place to place and enjoy the ride. And some of them, they eat like cattle and sheep. وَلَهُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعُ وَمَشَارِبُ. And for them therein are other benefits and drinks. So many drinks. Because now if you start thinking about different types of drinks that you can make with milk, so many. أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. So will they not be grateful? We are not forbidden from eating and enjoying the blessings that Allah has given us. In fact, we must use them. We must earn them lawfully. We must take Allah's name and enjoy those blessings. But it is very important that after we use them, we give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Allah. And it is so often that we take a sip of that cold dairy drink and immediately we start complaining. It's too sweet, or it's too watery, or it's too salty, so on and so on. But what should we do? أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. Will they not be grateful? But they have taken besides Allah false deities that perhaps they would be helped. Meaning people guard and people have taken false idols. They're not able to help them. They're not able to guard their idols, and they themselves are for them soldiers in attendance. So how are these idols supposed to protect them when you are protecting them yourself? فَلَا يَحْزُنْكَ قَوْلُهُمْ. So let not their speech grieve you. Indeed, we know what they can feel and what they declare. Sometimes what people say is far worse than what they keep in their hearts. So it is important to remember at all times that Allah knows what they conceal and Allah also knows what they reveal. Does man not consider that we created him from a mere scum drop? Then at once he is a clear adversary. He has seen as the origin. What was he? And still he argues and he presents to us an example and he forgets his own creation. He says, who will give life to bones while they are disintegrated? It's not difficult for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give life to a dead body. Say, he will give them life who produced them the first time, and he is of all creation knowing. Meaning he knows every kind of creation, every process of creation. Look at the different ways in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates the creation. Not only has he initiated it, but he also repeats it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how to create something in a womb, or in an egg, or in a pouch, or in the darkness and depth of the earth. So he knows how to cause microscopic creatures to multiply and spread. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٍ. And he is of all creation knowing. Subhanallah. This is our Rabb. So for Allah, it is not difficult. When he can create people or creation for the first time, it is not difficult for him to recreate it. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر. It is he from the green tree, al-akhdari nara, fire, and then from it you ignite. Meaning you get fire from something so fresh. He made for you from the green tree fire, and then from it you ignite. Is not he who created the heavens and the earth able to create light, the lights of them? Bala, yes. And he's knowing, he's the knowing creator. His command is only when he intends a thing and he says be, kun, fayakun, and it becomes. So it is not difficult for Allah. فَسُبْحَانَ بِيَدِهِ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. So exalted is he in whose hand is the realm of all things. And to him you will be returned. He doesn't just own this universe, he owns you and I. And he will call us back. So what are we doing right now? This is what we need to pay attention to, because with each passing day, we're only getting closer and closer with our meeting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Al-Safat, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Was-Safati Safa, Was-Zajirati Zajra, Wat-Fattaliyati Dhikra. By those angels lined up in rows, by those who drive the clouds, by those who recite the message. The angels are being mentioned over here. The fact that they form rows, the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, and this is the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that the angels form rows in the sky. And on the day of judgment also they will come in rows. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he once came out to the companions and said, will you not form rows as the angels do so before their Lord? They said, how do the angels do that? Keep the first row and fill the gaps in the rows. This is how we should also make our rows when we are praying. Complete the first row first. And this is part of perfecting and beautifying our prayer. So even when you're praying together as a family or in the masjid, make sure that you're forming your rows properly. Fill the gaps, stand foot to foot, shoulder to shoulder. We learn in hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to pass through the rows from one side to the other. He used to make sure that people were standing straight. There were no gaps. And he would say, do not be irregular, meaning do not have gaps in the middle. And do not be such that the one little forward and the other is little behind. So we need to stand straight together, shoulder to shoulder. Otherwise, your hearts will not be united. Your hearts will be in disagreement. And he would say, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah and his angels bless those who are near the first rows. So don't hesitate going forward. Don't hesitate moving a little to the right to fill the gap. Make the rows beautifully and properly. And then the angels are mentioned, those who drive the cloud and those who recite the message, meaning the angels who bring the revelation and those who drive the clouds. And what is the conclusion of these oaths? Inna ilahukum lawahid. Indeed, your God is one God. This is the response to the oath that do you not see this organization and discipline in the world, in the sky? You think this is all happening by itself? Think about it. One small event requires so much preparation. So if there's a wedding, we hire wedding managers, we decide how to arrange the food, we have to book the venue, so many things we have to plan. Things in this world can go wrong. This universe is functioning so perfectly. Why? Because behind that is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arranged every matter. And He has appointed angels. He has appointed angels who do their work in a very organized fashion. They form roles. So who is Allah? Rabbut samawati wal ard, Lord of the heavens and the earth, and that between them, and Lord of the sunrises. He's the Lord of all the days and all the places of all time. Inna zayyanna sama ad-dunya. Indeed, we have adorned the nearest heaven with an adornment of stars. It is the nearest sky or the worldly sky, and this also includes the entire known universe, because we cannot pass the first sky. In a hadith, we learn that when Prophet ﷺ was taken on the night journey, and Jibreel ﷺ took to go beyond the first sky, and permission had to be taken at every gate. Imagine how vast, how huge, how expensive the universe is. So huge that we are unable to figure out what size it is, what shape it is. So this is all part of the first sky. And imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created 7 skies. How massive is that creation? And how little, how tiny, how minuscule are we? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has adorned the sky with for us so that we see it, we find it beautiful. Subhanallah, so much honor. And Allah has given us. Allah has made this sky beautiful for us to admire. Do we even admire the sky? وَحِفْظًا مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْطَانٍ مَارِدٍ, and has protection against every rebellious devil. Meaning it is not just the empty decoration. There is a useful function behind that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects the sky. So they may not listen to the angels and are pelted from every side, rebelled, and for them is a constant punishment. Except one who snatches some words by theft, but they are pursued by a burning flame, piercing in brightness. We learn in a hadith that once the companion were sitting with the Prophet ﷺ at night, and a meteor shot gave a dazzling light, meaning they saw a falling star. So Rasulullah ﷺ asked the people, "What did you see? What did you used to say in the pre-Islamic days about this?" So they said, "Allah and the Messenger knows best. We used to say that when there is a shooting star, a great man was born or a great man had died." So Rasulullah ﷺ said that this is not because of the death of anyone or the birth of anyone. The fact is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala issues a command. When He decides to do something, then the angels that are around the throne, they glorify and praise Allah. And then the angels that are under them, they begin to glorify and praise Allah all the way down the 7 skies to the lowest sky. And then they ask each other that what is that your Lord has said? What command was given? So when that reaches the angels of the lowest sky, over there the jinn try to listen to the conversation of the angels to try to find out what is going to happen. So when the jinns try to do that, the angels chase them away with these stars. So this is the reality of shooting star. Shihabun Taqib. So they are prevented from listening. Fastaftihim, then inquire of them, are they stronger or more difficult creation? Others we have created. Indeed, sticky clay. This is the origin of. You wonder while they mock. وَإِذَا ذُكِّرُوا لَا يَذْكُرُونَ. And when they are reminded, they do not remember. So two types of people. The two types of people. Some people are amazed at learning about the signs of Allah and at looking at the different miracles that they are amazed. And then there are other types of people who are just laughing, making fun. You try to remind them of the amazing things of this dunya, how the world is functioning and how perfect our creation is, and they just make fun. And when they are reminded, they remember not. They don't take the lesson. And when they see a sign, they ridicule and they say this is not but obvious magic. We have died, and when we have died and become dust and bones, are we indeed to be rescued? Forefathers also? Our aba'una al-awwalun? Qul na'am. Say yes, and you will be rendered contemptible. It will be only one shout. They will be observing. They will say, oh, woe to us. Ya waylana hadha yawmuddin. This is the day of recompense. You see, this is so shocking that when something that you never expected, you never imagined, in fact, something that you believed was untrue turns out to be true, it becomes right in front of your eyes. What will happen to the deniers on the day of judgment? When they will actually see the day of judgment coming. This will be told, they will be told, هذا يوم الفصل الذي كنتم به تكذبون. This is the day of judgment. It will be said, gather those who committed wrong and what they used to worship other than Allah, guide them all together to the path of hellfire, meaning take them all to the hell together. Who? The people who committed wrong and their azwaj. What does it mean, their azwaj? Ushuru alladhina zalamu wa azwajahum. Take them and also their azwaj. It can mean spouses or it can mean companions. Those who were like them. So remember, in the hereafter, a person will be with those whom he loves. Who will be a person who will be with those whom he loves, as Prophet ﷺ said, but a person will also be with those whom he is similar to. Meaning people who do the same kind of actions, they will be together on the day of judgment. Just like in prison. People of similar crimes are kept in the similar prison. So together, they and their spouses, their likes, meaning couples, people who were together in this dunya in crime, so they will be together in hell also. Or this means together with their partners in crime, among the devils and also among the humans. Together, because with each person is a shaitan who is trying to mislead him. So a person will go to hell with their shaitan. And then a person will be taken to hell with those who were like him. For example, people who are addicted to alcohol, they will be taken together. People who commit zina, they will be among those who commit zina. In fact, we learn from the hadith that the people who don't pray will be resurrected with Fir'aun and Haman. May Allah protect us. Why? Because what was the problem of Fir'aun? He was too arrogant to surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And just like that, when a person refuses to worship Allah, what is the reason? It is their pride, it is their ego. So those who are arrogant like this, they will be taken to hell together. And they will not be taken with those they used to worship. And they will be taken with those idols or iblis or whatever else they worshipped. In a long hadith, we learned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will gather the first and the last. And the people will wait for a very long time, for 40 years, for the day of judgment to begin. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will arrive. Then an announcement will be made, O people, are you not pleased with your Lord who created you and gave you sustenance and commanded you to worship him and not to associate anything with him? Should you not go now with those who used to worship and befriend in the world instead of Allah? Is this not fair? They will say yes. Because who could object now, right? So every community, every people will go with what they used to worship in the world. So some will go towards the sun, because that is what they used to worship. Some towards the moon, because that is because that is what they used to worship. Or idols of stone, or whatever will resemble what they used to worship. Remember that the prophets of Allah, they are also worshipped. But they never want that worship, they never commanded people to worship them. So there will be things that will resemble them, that will look like them, so that people will go with their idols into hellfire and stop them. Indeed, they are to be questioned. Ibn Abbas said they will be interrogated about all their words and all their actions. Ma lakum la tanasarun. They will be asked, what is wrong with you? Why do you not help each other? Where is the power of your gods? Where is the power of your group? Why are you not helping each other? But that day are in surrender, and they will approach one another, blaming each other. The followers will say, rather you yourselves were not believers. So don't blame us. We had over you no authority, but you were a transgressing people. So remember, nobody at all, not even your parents, will take your responsibility for your choices. You are responsible for yourself. You will suffer alone. So never do wrong for the sake of other people. Be accountable for your actions. So the word of your Lord has come into effect upon us. Indeed, we will taste punishment, and we led you to deviation, because indeed we were deviators. We ourselves were deviators. So indeed, that they will be sharing in the punishment together. Indeed, that is how we deal with the criminal. Indeed, when it was said to them, there is no deity but Allah, they were arrogant. La ilaha illallah. When they were told this, yastakbirun, they were arrogant. They were arrogant. And they were saying, are we to leave our gods for a mad person, mad poet? Rather, the Prophet has come with the truth and confirmed the previous messengers. It will be said, indeed, you disbelievers will be the tasters of the painful punishment, and you will not be recompensed except for what you used to do. Illa ibadallahi al-mukhlasin, but not the servants of Allah. They will not be punished. Make us mukhlis, chosen. Those will have a provision determined, meaning they will have their reward, and that reward will be familiar to them. What is that reward? Wahum mukramun, fruits. Fawakiha, fruits. Wahum mukramun, and they will be honored. They will be served honorably because they sacrifice their honor in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They gave importance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also give them Jannah, fi jannatin na'im, in gardens of pleasure. So remember, in Jannah, there's a variety of fruit and food. Once a man asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about a certain tree in paradise. So he explained that each tree will have in place of a thorn something like a pouch that will be filled with 70 different kinds of colors of foods, each being unique and different from other. Subhanallah. The thing is that you eat with your eyes before you eat with your mouth. So in Jannah, the food is so beautiful looking, and there is endless supply also. Food is flavor, it's delicious, it's delicate, and it's beautiful. Ala sururim mutaqabilin, on thrones facing each other. They will be circulated among them a cup of wine from a flowing spring. You see, the blessings of Jannah is good company. Because you can have the best food available to you, but if you're lonely, or if you feel excluded from a group, or if you don't feel connected, that is very painful. So this is the beauty of Jannah. No one will be lonely in Jannah. They will be circulated among them a cup of wine from a flowing spring, white, glistering. No bad effect is therein, nor from it they will be intoxicated. This is no hangover, nothing like that. It's so important that we should look forward to these drinks of Jannah and not resort to the drinks of dunya, which makes a person intoxicated, which is haram, which is the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's worth leaving every disobedience in this life, in this world, because of all that is waiting for us in Jannah. وَعِنْدَهُمْ قَاصِرَاتُ الطَّرْفِ عَيْنٍ, and with them will be women limiting their glances. with large, beautiful eyes. This means that one of the interpretation is that these women will be limiting their glances to their husband, because their husband will also look really handsome. You see, one of the companions, he would say that I like to dress up and look good for my wife, just as I like for her to look good for me. So this is the thing in Jannah, that each person will be handsome and beautiful and attractive to their spouse. They will not desire, they will not look here and there. كَأَنَّهُنَّ بَيْضٌ مَكْنُونٌ, as if they were delicate eggs well protected. This is referring to the smoothness of their skin. And they will approach one another, inquiring of each other. Conversation of the people of Jannah is mentioned. A speaker say, indeed, I had a companion on earth. I used to have a friend back on earth who would say, are you indeed of those who believe that when we have died and become dust and bones, we will indeed be recompensed? So, there are people like this who will ask you today in the dunya that you really believe that there is life after death, there's resurrection. Do you really believe that? In such conversations, when they happen between co-workers at times or family members, sometimes people say such things to make you feel less about yourself, your belief. You seriously believe? Like, what are you doing? So they're trying to make you feel bad. So this person will remember that friend who would talk to him like this, and he will say, would you care to look? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make him look. He will look and see him in the midst of hellfire. Friend who used to deny the day of judgment and object, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you see those people who died as deniers in this life. He will say, upon seeing his friend in the midst of fire, he will say, Tallahi, by Allah, you almost ruined me. If not for the favor of my Lord, I would have been of those brought in hell. If I had obeyed you, then I would be with you today. Then are we not to die? أَفَمَا نَحْنُ بِمَيِّتِينَ, except for our first death, and we will not be punished. Indeed, this is a great attainment. And the like of this, let the workers on earth work. Meaning we need to get to Jannah. Our words alone are not enough. So these verses show us very clearly that we need to be wary of the doubts of the doubters, of people who openly speak of their disbelief, or who constantly question and criticize and mock and instill the seeds of doubt. Do not get affected by them. Resist and avoid the company of those who weaken your faith. There are people who believe and there are people who don't believe. And you meet all types of people, you interact with all types of people, and it is up to people what they want to believe in. However, if someone is calling you to disbelieve, if someone is criticizing your faith, then you must be very careful. You must stay away from such people who are a bad influence on you. You do this for your worldly security. For example, if you find out that a person you know is committing a certain crime, you would stay away from them because you want to make sure that you don't get into trouble. You want to make sure that you are not putting your safety at risk. The same, you must do this for your eternal security. You must watch out for yourself. We learn in a hadith, a good companion is like a man who has musk, who's selling perfume. If nothing of it goes, its fragrance will certainly go to you. Meaning, even if he doesn't give you a free sample, he has a business, he's selling it, but the fact that you're sitting around him, you're going to smell some beautiful fragrance. And a bad companion is like a man who has bellows, who's working with fire. If the soot will not reach you, its smoke will certainly will. So yes, we have acquaintances. You meet everyone nicely, but the people in your inner circle, in your closest circle, people who you hang out with, you chill with, you talk to, you take advice from, they must be religious. They must make you close to Allah. They must invite you to goodness. And they say that you are an average of 5 people. So think about who are your closest people that have influence upon you. Closest friends of circle. 5 people who are closest to you because you are the average of them. We learn in a hadith that do not keep company of anyone except a believer. And none but a righteous person should eat your food. Why? Because only such friendships will last. We learn in the Quran, in Surah Zukhruf, ayah 67, Al-akhillau yawma'idhin ba'duhum li ba'din aduwwun illa al-muttaqeen. That best friends will be enemies to one another on the day of judgment, except for the righteous, except for the pious. And we should make dua for righteous friends, that Allah facilitate for us righteous friendships. Allahumma yassirli jalisan salihan. Allah bring for us righteous friends. And we should make for righteous friendships, make dua for righteous friends for our kids also. That Allah surround them with good company, not the company of doubters who shake their iman, they weaken their faith. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you good friends, people who keep you firm, people who will help you stay firm. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Maryam, ayah number 96, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمْ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. That those who believe, those who have believed and done righteous deeds, Ar-Rahman will appoint for them affection. He will give them good friends. So ask Allah for good friends. أَذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ نُزُلًا أَمْ شَجَرَةُ الزَّقُّومِ. Is paradise a better accommodation where you can have fruit, food of all kinds, variety, fruit, companion, good company, good drinks, or the tree of Zaqqum? What a comparison. In a hadith, we learn one drop of Zaqqum, which is a tree of Jahannam. One drop of this Zaqqum would ruin the entire earth. It would make life on earth very hard. So what do you think? Whose food is only Zaqqum in hellfire? Indeed, we have made it a torment for the wrongdoers. Indeed, it is a tree issuing from the bottom of hellfire. Its emerging fruit as if it was heads of devils. So even the fruit that is hanging from this tree looks like the heads of devils. And indeed, they will eat from it and fill it their bellies. Why? Out of hunger. They will have no choice but to eat from this tree. But it will be too bitter. So they will want to wash it down. They would want some kind of drink. And indeed, we will have after it a mixture of scalding water, meaning extremely hot water that will be mixed with pus and wash waste of wounds of the people of hellfire. This is what the people of hellfire will drink. And remember, the punishment is like the amal of them in this dunya. And remember, Allah is most merciful. For every good deed that we perform in this dunya, we were getting 10 minimum good hasanat, good deeds, and maximum 700 or as much Allah wanted. And for every evil action, we were only given one evil written. We were given one evil and written as one bad deed. So this person who actually made into Jahannam looks like they were involved in so many sins and no good deeds. Or maybe they performed good deeds but then wasted everything. So you have to have such extreme opposition and disobedience to land into hellfire. And then this punishment justified because Allah is the most just. And indeed they return to the hellfire, meaning they will go back to fire after their meal. And why so much punishment? Because you must be wondering why. Because indeed they found their fathers astray, so they hastened to follow in their footsteps without thinking on their own, without questioning, without doing research, blindly following the forefathers. You see, in the dunya, we try different, find out about different things. We research, we use Google, and find out everything. We don't like to stick to our traditional foods of our forefathers. We try to find out different things, and when we find out different health benefits of certain things, we try to adopt. We share with people, and even if that meant to give up of the traditions of your forefathers, we do that happily because we know that in it lies our success. So why when it comes to hereafter, we are not open-minded to explore the Quran and Sunnah? And when we do explore and we find something that is contrary to what we have been taught all along, perhaps a right way of performing sajda, a right way of performing ruku and performing the whole salah. When we find out, why don't we adopt it? Why do we give excuse that we found our forefathers doing that? And they had already strayed before them, most of the former people, and we had already sent among them warners. Then look, end of those who were warned, illa ibadallahil mukhlasin, but not the chosen servants of Allah. but not the chosen servants of Allah. They were not given this kind of punishment. May Allah grant us ikhlas, sincerity. So we are also chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from this kind of punishment. وَلَقَدْ نَادَانَا نُوحٌ, and Nuh had certainly called us, and we were the best of responders to the dua of Nuh alayhi salam. And we saved him and his family from great affliction. And we made his descendants those remaining on the earth, and left him favorable mention after later generation. Peace upon Nuh among the worlds. Inna kadhalika najdil muhsinin. Indeed, thus we thus reward the doers of good. Indeed, he was of our believing servants, and we drowned the others. And indeed, among his kinds was Ibrahim. Now, the mention of the Prophet Nuh and Ibrahim. إِذْ جَاءَ رَبَّهُ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, when he came to his Lord with a sound heart. Remember, qalbin salim, sound heart, is mentioned 2 times in the Quran. And both times, it is mentioned in the context of Ibrahim alayhi salam, which shows us that Ibrahim alayhi salam's life has something to teach us about having a sound heart, about having a qalbin salim. And one of the du'as that we should make, we should ask Allah for qalbin salim, because salim is that which has survived. Meaning not someone who has never suffered anything, not someone who has never been attacked, but someone who has survived. This shows us that there are trials in life, there are those personal wars, questions, those external forces that are pulling us away from Allah. This could be shirk that is around us, faithlessness, doubts that creep in our mind, the questions that you have, personal battles that you fight. The person who holds on to Allah, then Allah also saves them. So the sound heart is the heart that is free of shirk, that is safe, that is free of any association of partners, any doubt, free of any doubt. Ibrahim alayhi salam had tawheed. And this is why Allah loved, and this is why he loved Allah the most. He was obedient to Allah. He surrendered to Allah fully. And there was nothing that feared that or loved or longed for as much as he loved and feared and longed for Allah. So we too should fear Allah the most, love Allah the most, long for the meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had this yaqeen, he had itminan in his heart, which is why, you see, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that liyatma'inna qalbi, show me how you resurrect. We learn in Surah Baqarah, right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave itminan in his heart. So you see, when we have heart, when we doubt, even if it's a, what does that doubt do? It doesn't allow you to act. Conviction brings you strength to do something, to do what you're supposed to do. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, his heart was free of it. It was safe from any kind of doubt. With all that, Ibrahim alayhi salam was not bitter. He survived. Ibn Siri was asked, what is the sound heart? And he said that the one who is sincere to Allah in regard, meaning he wants the best for the creation of Allah. And Ibrahim was like that. Think about his father. What his father said to him, leave or I will kill you. His entire people threw him in the fire. And look at Ibrahim alayhi salam, he didn't make an excuse. Worshipper, and you said, you see, my life is in danger, I might as well stay on the religion of my father. No. And when he was threatened, what was the response of Ibrahim alayhi salam? He said, I will seek refuge. I will seek forgiveness for you, my father. When the angels came to him and told him about the punishment that they were going to bring to Lut alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam pleaded with Allah to give the people of Lut more time. Ibrahim alayhi salam left his child in barren valley to populate that place so that there would be a nation that would worship only Allah. This is how Ibrahim alayhi salam was. His heart was free from shirk, filled with belief in Allah. He was truly a survivor, and he did not have any bitterness in his heart for people, none at all. And this is something very, very important in our religion. Jarir radiyallahu anhu said that I pledge to Prophet to be sincere towards every Muslim, that I will in my heart want the best for every Muslim. So we need to check our heart. Do we have qalbin salim? Do we have a sound heart? Because this is the sign of sound heart. But qalbin salim is not a heart that is, yes, making dhikr and claims that I love Allah. And then in the heart there's so much anger, jealousy for people, hatred. This is not a sound heart. A sound heart is a heart that is clean of such ills, vices. We learn in a hadith that 6 are the rights of a Muslim over another Muslim. And when Prophet ﷺ was asked, what are these rights? He said, when you meet him, you offer him salam. Any Muslim, you meet him, you say salam. When he invites you, you accept his invitation. When he seeks your counsel, advice, you give it to them. Meaning you be sincere. When they ask you for advice, you don't cheat them. You don't give bad advice in order to cause them suffering. When he sneezes and says, Alhamdulillah, you say, Yarhamukallah. When he falls ill, you visit him. When he dies, you follow his janazah. So it is the right of a Muslim that you want the best for them. And this is also amana. We learned that there are three things in which the heart of a believer in which the heart of the believer does not betray. Sincerity of action for the sake of Allah, offering sincere advice to the rulers of the Muslims, and adhering to the Jama'ah. So this is the heart of a believer. Ibrahim alayhi salam had a sound heart, a clean, pure, sincere heart. إذ قال لأبيه وقومه تعبدون. When he said to his father and his people, what do you worship? Is it false gods other than Allah you desire? Then what is your thought about the Lord of the worlds? What do you think about worship Him alone? Stars, Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he said, indeed, I am about to be ill. He said, because this is what his people would do. He didn't actually mean it. So they turned away from him, departing. فَتَوَلَّوْا عَنْهُ مُدْبِرِينَ. Then he turned to their gods and said, so Ibrahim alayhi salam said, I am sick, I'm not well, I don't want to join you when you're going somewhere. When he was by himself, he turned to their God and he said, do you not eat? What is wrong with you that you do not speak? And he turned upon them a blow with his right hand. He started breaking those idols. And then later on, when the people came towards him hastening, he said, do you worship that which you yourself carved, while Allah created you and that which you do? He said, construct for him a furnace, a huge fire, and throw him into the burning fire. And they intended for him a plan, but we made them the most debased. This is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you take one step towards Allah, Allah will not leave you. If you adopt obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you establish prayer, when you give zakah, when you fast, when you become obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in any action of your life, Allah will not leave you. وَقَالَ إِنِّي ذَاهِبٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّي سَيَهْدِينِ. Ibrahim alayhi salam said, indeed, I will go to where I am ordered by my Lord. I'm going to my Lord anyway. So even if you kill me, He will guide me. So because of this, the ulama said that Ibrahim alayhi salam was the first person to make hijrah, to migrate for the sake of Allah, to move away from the place where he wasn't able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He left to go somewhere else. So he, Sarah and Lut, they left their people. And Ibrahim alayhi salam made dua. Rabbi habli minas salihin. My Lord, grant me a child from among the righteous. Rabbi habli minas salihin. So he gave him good tidings, bearing boy. He lost his father, he lost his family, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him someone even better. And this is Allah's way. This is His promise. That when you give up something for the sake of Allah, Allah will give you something better. And this is His promise. Even when you give in Allah's way, Allah will compensate you. So what happened? Ibrahim alayhi salam was given the good news of a boy who would be Halim, very forbearing. What does that mean? You see, in life there are difficulties. Things happen which don't always make sense, which we find very hard. So Halim is the ability to bear difficulty, to not respond with impatience, to not start wailing, fussing, crying over every little thing. Who are like that, who are very courageous, very, very patient, very mature, very understanding. So Ismail alayhi salam was like that. What was the proof of that? The story that is coming. The story that is mentioned over here, ayah number 102. When he reached with him the age of excursion, he said, "O my son, indeed I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you. So what do you think?" Andur mada tara. He asked him his suggestion, because remember, the dreams of the prophets are true. He said, "O my father," Ismail alayhi salam said, "O my father, Do as you are commanded. You will find me, if Allah wills, insha'Allah, of the steadfast, of the patient ones. This was Halim. Why does Ibrahim alayhi salam ask him, even though this was the command of Allah, he was not asking him that should I do or should I not do, but he was getting his son to agree. His son would understand why his father would do such a thing. And so his son would also be firm and willing and patient. And this is very important, that we tell our children to do something. Don't just command them. Tell them that we have to do this. Tell them the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reason that Allah is the one who has commanded this. Look at the response of Ismail alayhi salam. To let your children know why are you going to worship the way you will be worshipping. Let them know. Ask them. That this night, the whole night until Fajr, is a night of power, night of decree. The angels descend, all the angels from the heavens descend, who have never descended otherwise. They descend on the earth, and so is Jibreel alayhi salam. They all descend, and this night is the night of power. Your decree is written, and you're supposed to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all night. You have to find Laylatul Qadr, and worshipping in this night is like as if you worship 1,000 months. And imagine if we don't educate them, and we don't let them know how important, and God forbid they're doing things that are contrary to obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then who is at fault? We need to inculcate. He's asking his son not to stay up all night. He's asking his son that Allah commands us to. And look at the patience of Ismail alayhi salam. We think our kids cannot stay up and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they will not understand. No, they can understand. We need to let them know. So you plant the seed. So when they grow up with this notion that Laylatul Qadr is to be sought. And this is the same seed they plant in their children, and their children will plant in their. So we need to carry on this legacy by raising our kids right, on deen, on recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, Ismail alayhi salam, insha'Allah, because nothing is possible without the will of Allah. He's seeking the help of Allah. Insha'Allah is not when you don't want to do something. We don't say insha'Allah then. We need to change that. We say insha'Allah when we really want to do something, that Allah will help us. Yes, it seems very hard. How are we going to stay up all night? Maybe with all our responsibilities, our work, our schedule, our school. But insha'Allah, Allah will make it easy. And remember, nothing becomes easy except by the will of Allah. If Allah makes something easy, then no matter how hard it is, it will become easy for you. In a hadith, we learned when Ibrahim alayhi salam lay Ismail on his forehead, Ismail was wearing a white shirt at that time. So he said, oh my father, I do not have another shirt in which you could bury me. So remove this from me so you may shroud me in this shirt of mine. So Ibrahim alayhi salam reached forward to remove the shirt. When he was called out from behind that, oh Ibrahim, you have fulfilled your dream. When he looked back, there was a white, big-horned, big-eyed sheep that was standing over there. So it is said, and when they both had submitted, and he put him down on his forehead. Lil Jabeen. So notice, both had submitted. This is what we should desire. We surrender to Allah, and our children also willingly surrender to Allah. But this is only possible when they know who Allah is. Not that they are obeying out of fear of you. They're worshipping or they're praying because of you. No, instill in your children the love of Allah, the willingness to obey Allah, and the reward of fasting, and the reward of worshiping Him in the night time. This is possible even in little children, so don't underestimate them. We call to him, O Ibrahim, you have fulfilled the vision. Indeed, we thus reward the doers of good. Indeed, this was a clear trial. It was a clear trial, big trial, no doubt about it. And we ransomed him with a great sacrifice, and we left for him favorable mention among the later generation. Today, you and I, until the end of the time, people follow him. This is from where the tradition of offering sacrifice began. So remember, it's not about the meat or the blood. It's all about the state of the heart. because the sacrifice symbolizes the sacrifice of one's ego, one's attachment and love for the creation. Here we see that when a person does something good, then Allah also gives them good name. Meaning that person, that people, Allah also gives them a good name because people will remember them in good terms. So Ibrahim alayhi salam was honest. He was not slaughtering his son so that people will call him very no. It was just between him, his son, and Allah. And look at how here we are sitting thousands of years learning about his sacrifice, his sincerity, his qalbin salim. So we too need to be sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, honest with him, and doing things only for his sake, and keeping some deeds hidden between us and Allah alone to guard our sincerity. And you will see when you're honest, when you're sincere, when you khalis, when you do something sincerely for the sake of Allah, then inshallah, Allah will mention your name in good terms after you have left this world. And Allah will enable you to leave a legacy, a sadaqatun jariyah. In a hadith, we learned that when Allah saves, he makes him sweet. Asalu. So the people asked, how can a person become sweet like honey? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained, Allah opens the door of righteous action for that servant before his death, so that those around him become pleased with him. They're happy with him. They experience his sweetness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sweeten us before our death also. And we learn that a person is known by their deeds. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there is no person except that he has a certain name in the skies by which he is known. And if that name is good, that is placed in the earth. So a person is known in good terms in the world also. And if that reputation is evil in the sky, then the same reputation is placed in the earth. So what is our goal? Our goal is not to please people, to get people liking, followers, to get people to talk about us in positive words. No, that is not our ultimate goal. But it is definitely a reflection of, and we need to see, we need to pay attention to what people say about us, especially those who are closest to us. What do they say about us? The way we respond, the way we react, and take their comments seriously. Do they say that we are very impatient? Or the fact that we get angry very quickly? Or the fact that we are very moody? Or the fact that we're very difficult to get along with? Or do they say positive things about us? That you're accommodating, you're gentle, you're loving, you're approachable, you're dependable. Because this is people's testimony in our favor or against us. So we learn in a hadith, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, soon you will be able to tell the people of paradise from the people of hell. The companions asked, how, O Messenger of Allah? He said, by praise and condemnation, because you are Allah's witnesses over one another. So the way that people talk about us, it does matter, but it doesn't matter that we make people's praise our ultimate. It doesn't mean that we make now people's praise our ultimate goal. That okay, let me make people pleased by me so that I will have a good mention in the sky. No, this is not what we need to strive for. The reason we are learning all this, so we strive to please Allah. And it is not possible that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let that be known to others. Allah will bestow His approval upon you, and that will spread amongst the people. Just like Ibrahim alayhi salam. Salamun ala Ibrahim. Ibrahim. Kadhalika najzil muhsinin. Indeed, He does reward the doers of good. Indeed, he was of our believing servants, and we gave him good tidings of Ishaq, a prophet among the righteous. And we blessed him with Ishaq. But among their descendants is the doer of good and clearly unjust to himself. Subhanallah. Parents were righteous, but some children were corrupt. This happened with prophets also. So remember, the righteousness of our parents alone is not enough. We have to wrong ourselves. And at times it happens that a person has done their best to raise their children, but despite their efforts, they don't see good results. So don't blame yourself. This is not your fault. You did whatever was best in your capacity. Seek forgiveness from Allah for where you did fall short. But don't judge others either. When you see that someone is righteous and the children are not, don't say, oh, they must be very evil. That's why they are being punished. Only Allah knows what the real story is. وَلَقَدْ مَنَنَّا وَلَقَدْ مَنَنَّا عَلَى مُوسَى وَهَارُونَ, and we did certainly confer favor upon Musa and Harun, and we saved them from their people, from the great affliction. So it was they who overcame, and we gave them the explicit scripture, the Torah, and we guided them on the straight path, and we left for them favorable mention. Peace upon Musa and Harun. Salamun ala Musa wa Harun. Indeed, we thus reward the doers of good. Inna kadhalika najzil muhsinin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us a muhsin, a doer of utmost good. Indeed, they were of our believing servants. And indeed, Elias was among the messengers. When he said to his people, will you not fear Allah? Do you call upon Ba'ala and leave the best of the creators? This was a particular idol that they used to worship. Allahu Rabbukum, Allah is your Lord and the Lord of your first forefathers, and they denied him. Indeed, they will be brought for punishment, except the chosen servant of Allah. Illa ibadallahis mukhlis, ikhlas, those who remain true to Allah, those who worship Allah alone, those who have salim hearts, qalbin salim. And we left for him favorable mention in the later generations. Salamun ala Ilyasin. Peace upon Ilyas. Indeed, we thus reward the doers of good. Indeed, he was of our believing servants. Lut was among the messengers. So mention when we saved him and his family, all except an old woman, his wife, among those who remained with the old. Then we destroyed the others. And indeed, you pass by them in the morning and at night. Then will you not use reason? You see the ruins of these people who were destroyed because of their action. Will you not reason? And indeed, Yunus was among the messengers. Mentioned when he ran away to the laden ship, and he drew lots and was among the losers. And then the fish swallowed him while he was blameworthy. And had he not been of those who exalt Allah, he would have remained inside his belly until the day they were resurrected. But we threw him onto the open shore while he was ill, and we caused to grow over him a goat wine. And we sent him to his people 100,000 or more. And they believed, so we gave them enjoyment of life for a time. So inquire of them, O Muhammad, does your Lord, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, does your Lord have daughters while they have sons? Or did we create the angels as females while they are witnesses? Unquestionably, it is out of their invented falsehood that they say, Allah has begotten, and indeed they are liars. Has he chosen daughters over sons? What is wrong with you? How do you make judgment? Then will you not be reminded? Will you not be reminded? So, and doesn't mean that sons are better than daughters. This was the belief of the people of Makkah, of the Arabs, that they would give preference to sons over daughters. So for themselves, their own customs are basically used against them. For themselves, they would prefer, but they would call angels Allah's daughters. So you ascribe God daughters? How dare you? What is wrong with you? How are you making this judgment? Or do they have clear authority? Then produce your scripture if you should be truthful. And they have claimed between him and the jinn a lineage. But the jinn have already known that they will be brought to punishment. Subhanallahi amma yasifun. Exalted is Allah above what they ascribe. You see, the people of Makkah, the Arabs, they used to believe that God married the jinn, na'udhu billah. And then God has angels. And then God, as a result, had angels. So angels are the daughters of God. This is even difficult to comprehend. Astaghfirullah. So this entire false belief is being criticized over here. Subhanallahi amma yasifun. Exalted is Allah above what they describe. Illa ibadallahi al-mukhlasin, except the chosen servants of Allah, meaning they don't say such things about Allah. They believe in the oneness of Allah. They believe in the absolute perfection of Allah. So when they worship, when they call upon Allah, they call upon Him alone with His beautiful names and attributes. So indeed, you disbelievers, and whatever you worship, you cannot tempt anyone away from Him except he who is to enter and burn in the hellfire. And angels say There is not amongst us any except that has a known position. And indeed, we are those who line up for prayers. SubhanAllah, at the beginning of the surah, the rows of the angels were mentioned. And here, their fixed positions are mentioned, which means that none of them moves away from their fixed position. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there is not a space of 1 foot or hand span in the sky except that there is an angel over there prostrating or standing in prayer, in praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we see that the angels, even when they worship and obey Allah, they do it with discipline, with organization. That makes that worship even more beautiful. And this is something that we should also pay attention to. That when we are praying, we are not distracted. When you're praying, the part of your house that you're praying, dedicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure that you are attentive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa inna lanahnul musabbihun. And indeed, we are amongst those who exalt Allah. So the angels make tasbih. They glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in fact, tasbih is a great speech, the best speech. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, which speech is the best? He said the speech that Allah has chosen for His angels. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi. In another hadith, we learned that this is actually the food of angels. So this is the sustenance of angels. Dhikr, tasbih. So remember, dhikr, tasbih is spiritual sustenance. If you want to make your heart healthy, if you're concerned about the health of your heart, then you must feed it with the dhikr of Allah, the tasbih of Allah, saying Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar, Takbir, Tahmeed, Alhamdulillah, Tahleel, La ilaha illallah. And indeed, the disbelievers used to say, if we had a message before from those of the former people, we would have been chosen servants of Allah. فَكَفَرُوا. But they disbelieved in it, so they are going to know. And our word has already preceded for our servants, the messengers, that indeed they would be those given victory. That indeed our soldiers, the believers, will be those who overcome. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, leave them for a time, hatta heen, wa absirhum fasawfa yubsirun, and see what will befall them. So they are going to see our punishment. Are they impatient? And when it descends in their territory, then evil is the mourning of those who were warned. And leave them for a time and see, for they are going to see, exalted is your Lord, the Lord of the might, above what they describe. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursaleen, and peace upon the messengers, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, and praise to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. He is as perfect as He is free from the lies that are invented about Him. So they have spoken the truth and delivered the speech. Salamun ala al-mursaleen, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allah is exalted in might. We see now that there is tasbih at the end of the surah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also taught us that at the end of the gathering, we should also make the tasbih. We should also say tasbih. What is that tasbih? Subhanakallah wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. So remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing tasbih. Surah Sad, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Sad wal Qur'ani dhil dhikr, by the Quran containing reminder, and those who disbelieve. Instead of paying attention to the reminder, what do they say? They are in pride and dissension, shiqaq. So they refuse to believe. Shiqaq is to oppose someone, to refuse, to believe, to be very, very stubborn of one's denial. So we learn after Surah Yasin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Sad, in these verses, كَمْ أَهْلَكْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ مِنْ قَرْنٍ. How many generations were before them? And they then called out, but it was not a time for escape. And they wonder that there has come to them a warner from among themselves, a human being from their neighborhood, and the disbelievers say, this is the magician and a liar. Has he made the gods only one God? Indeed, this is a curious thing. And the eminent among them went forth saying, continue and be patient over the defense of your gods. Indeed, this is the thing intended. We have not heard of this in the latest religion. This is not but a fabrication. Has the message been revealed to him out of out of all of us, they object that the message is given to him. People of Makkah, they were very, very arrogant. The deniers among them, they would say that why this person has been made a prophet? Why him? Why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because they looked down upon him. They thought it would be a rich person who would become a prophet. Rather, they have yet not tasted my punishment, or do they have the depositories of the mercy of your Lord, the exalted in might and bestower? Or is theirs the dominion of the heaven and the earth between them? Then let them ascend through any ways of access. They are but soldiers who will be defeated there among the companions of the believers. The people of Nuh denied before them, and the tribe of Ad and Fir'aun, the owner of stakes, and the tribe of Thamud, and the people of Lut, and the companions of Tikrit, Aika, people of Madian, those are the companies. Each of them denied the messengers, so my penalty was justified. And these disbelievers await not but one blast of the horn, for it there will be no delay. Or do they say, our Lord, hasten for us our share of the punishment before the day of account, before the day of judgment? Isbir ala ma yaqulun, be patient over what they say, and remember our servant Dawood, the possessor of strength. Indeed, he was one who repeatedly turned back to Allah. So take a lesson from his life of Dawood alayhi salam. Whenever difficulty in life, it is very important that we read about the stories of prophets to get inspiration, to find lessons. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was informed about the stories of the prophets. Why? Because this was a source of comfort for him. We also need comfort at times. We also need inspiration. So it is important that we reflect over the stories of the prophet to benefit. And Dawood alayhi salam, who was he? He was the man of strength. Allah had given him a lot of strength, and he was not arrogant. He was not rebellious. He was, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described him here, innahu awwab. He was repeatedly turning back to Allah. He would continue to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. Indeed, we subjected the mountains with him, exalting Allah in the late afternoon and the sunrise. We should also make tasbih in the morning and in the evening. We learn about Dawood alayhi salam, the Prophet said the recitation of the Zabur was made easy for Dawood, for him. He used to order that his riding animals be saddled and would finish reciting the Zabur before even they were saddled. So he would never eat except from the earnings of his own hard work, his own manual work. And the birds were assembled all with him repeating praises. So this is beautiful. Imagine he would make tasbih and the birds also gathered around him, and the mountains. So how beautiful. So what is the lesson that Prophet ﷺ is being told over here? That you also seek Allah's help through tasbih, by glorifying Allah. That will be your sustenance. That will be your source of strength. So anytime you feel down, start making tasbih. Start glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we strengthened his kingdom, and we gave him wisdom and discernation in speech. And has there come to you the news of the adversaries when they climbed over the wall of his prayer chamber? When they entered upon Dawood and he was alarmed by them, they said, fear not, we are two adversaries, one of whom has wronged the other. So judge between us with truth and do not exceed it, and guide us to the sound path. Indeed, this my brother has 99 ewes, and I have one. So he said, entrust her to me, and he overpowered me in speech. Dawood said, he has certainly wronged you in demanding your ewes in addition of his ewes. And indeed, many associates oppress one another, except for those who believe and do righteous deeds. And few are they. And Dawood became certain that we had tried him. And he asked forgiveness of his Lord, and he fell down bowing in prostration and turned in repentance. So Dawood alayhi salam, meaning a lot of people who work together, who are close to each other, they end up oppressing one another, except the righteous ones. So this sudden incident where he's busy in prayer and two people all of a sudden come and present their case and ask for an answer, for a solution. Dawood alayhi salam realized that this situation was teaching him a lesson. So he understood the lesson. And that's what exactly was the matter. Allah has not disclosed it over here, but Dawood alayhi salam understood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides us in different ways. One is that we are given instruction and knowledge. This is the knowledge of the book, the knowledge of the verses of the Quran, and that's how we know what is right and wrong. But then there's another type of guidance which is situational based, meaning through a situation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings us clarity. By making us experience something, we're able to realize our mistake. We are able we're able to understand the depth of something, and we are able to make the right decision. So it is not just books we learn from, it is also our experiences. We learn lessons that life teaches us. For that, we need to have an open mind, open heart. We need to be honest with ourselves. We see that Musa alayhi salam, we learned that how he was made to travel to meet Khidr, so that he would learn through the experience, his experiences, what he would not learn from a book. So Dawud alayhi salam understood through the situation something that he and that made him realize that it was a sign. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance that we should willingly accept. And this is also the ayah of sajda. So you see, Dawud alayhi salam made sajda over here. So this ayah also is the ayah of sajda. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, I saw in a dream that I am under a tree and I was praying and I was reciting Surah As-Sad, and when I reached this ayah, the tree prostrated and said, Allahumma khfirli biha, Allahumma hutta anni biha wizra, wa ahdith li wa taqabbalha minni kama taqabbalta min abdika Dawood sajdatuhu. Oh Allah, forgive me because of this. Oh Allah, forgive me because of this. Erase a sin of mine and record this as gratitude for me and accept this for me as you accepted from Dawood his prostration. So of course Abu Sa'id was amazed by his dream and he informed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about this. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, did you also make sajda? He said, no, I didn't. He said, you are more worthy of making sajda. So then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited Surah As-Sad until when he reached this ayah, he made sajda. And then he said the same that he'd heard the tree saying, meaning this dua. So this shows us that we should also make this dua when we make sajda tilawa. After reading this surah, we said, Dawood, indeed we have made you successors upon the earth. So judge between the people in truth and do not follow your own desires, as it will lead you astray from the way of Allah. And before that we saw, we forgave that, and indeed nearness to us and a good place of return. We said, Dawood, indeed we have made you on the earth, so judge between the people in truth and do not follow your own desires, as it will lead you astray from the way of Allah. Indeed, those who go astray from the way of Allah will have a severe punishment for having forgotten the day of account. And we did not create the heaven and the earth, and that between them aimlessly. That is the assumption of those who disbelieve. So woe to those who disbelieve from the fire. Or should we treat those who believe and do righteous deeds like corruptors in the land? Or should we treat those who fear Allah like the wicked? This is a blessed book which we have revealed to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that might reflect upon its verses and that those of understanding would be reminded. So this is a blessed book. What is the purpose of this book? لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ, to reflect upon this book. The purpose of this book is to reflect. وَوَهَبْنَا لِدَاوُودَ سُلَيْمَانَ نِعْمَ الْعَبْدُ إِنَّهُ أَوَّابٌ. And to Dawood we gave Suleiman, an excellent servant. Indeed, he was one repeatedly turning back to Allah. And mentioned we were exhibited before him in the and poised standing race horses. And he said, indeed, I give preference to the love of good things over the remembrance of my Lord. Until the sun disappeared into the curtain of darkness. He said, return to them to me, and set about striking the legs and necks. And we certainly tried Suleiman and placed on his throne a body. Then he returned. He said, my Lord, forgive me and grant me a kingdom such as will not belong to anyone after me. Indeed, you are the bestowers. So what are we learning in this ayah? The ayah before this, it is said that Sulaiman alayhi salam, he wanted a child who would inherit from him. He would inherit from him, and he did have a child, but the child was half paralyzed. And then he turned back to Allah. And remember, sometimes when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala something, he doesn't exactly give you the thing you want. And remember, so you don't exactly get what you ask for. Even that is teaching us something. It's not that Allah has rejected you or Allah doesn't care about you. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided that that particular result for you because they think you need to learn from that experience. And here we see that Sulaiman al-Sam learned. He turned back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, My Lord, forgive me and grant me a kingdom such as will not belong to anyone after me. Indeed, you are the bestower. So we subjected to him the wind blowing by his command, gently wherever he directed, and also the devils of the jinn, every builder and diver, and others bound together in irons. And we said, This is our gift to grant or withhold without account. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him blessings and he also gave him power and authority to do whatever he wanted. And indeed for him is nearness to us and a good place of return. And remember our servant Ayub when he called to his Lord, Indeed, Shaitan has touched me with hardship and torment. So he was told, Strike the ground with your foot. There is a spring of a cool spring. And we granted him his family and a like number as a mercy from us. And a reminder for those of understanding. We said, And take in your hand a bunch of grass and strike with it. And do not break your oath. Indeed, we found him patient and excellent servant. Indeed, he was one repeatedly turning back to Allah. He was awwab, turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We learn in a hadith that Ayub alayhi salam, his disease or remained in his trial for 18 years. And the close and distant, all people that were around him left him. So Allah inspired him to strike with his foot so he can be healed. Remember our servant Ibrahim, Ishaq, Yaqub, those of strength and religious vision. Indeed, we chose them for an exclusive quality. And what was that exclusive quality? Remembrance of the home of hereafter. They would remember the home. And indeed, they were to us among the chosen outstanding. Remember Ismail, Yasha, Dhul-Kifl, and all are among the outstanding. Min al-akhyar. This is the reminder, and indeed, for the righteous is a good place of return. Gardens of perpetual residence, whose doors will be open to them. Doors will be open to them. So imagine, doors of Jannah will be open for them even before they come to Jannah. Because remember, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will be the first one to reach the gate of Jannah. And he will intercede, so the gates of Jannah will be open. And we learned that there are 8 gates of Jannah, and each gate is as wide as the distance between Makkah and Hajar, or Makkah or Basra. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained, as he explained how huge these gates are. Why? So that people who enter Jannah, they can enter Jannah together. Because if you're in a queue, it feels so bad. When you're all the way in the back and you see people entering, for example, grocery store, you feel that the wait is so painful and you feel left out. You feel that you're going to miss out. So people in Jannah, they will enter together through these huge gates. Reclining within them, they will call therein for abundant fruit and drink, and with them will be women, limiting their glances of equal age. This is what you, the righteous, are promised for the day of account. Indeed, this is our provision. For it, there will be no depletion. This is so, but indeed for the transgressors is an evil place of return, which they will enter to burn, and wretched is the resting place. This, so let them taste it, is scalding water and foul prolence. Another punishment of its type in various kinds. This is a company bursting in with you, no welcome for them. Indeed, they will burn in the fire. They will say, Nor you, no welcome for you. Our leaders brought this upon you, and wretched is the settlement. They will say, Our Lord, whoever brought this upon us, increase for him double punishment in the fire. And they will say, Why do we not see men whom we used to count as amongst the worst? It is because we took them in ridicule, or has our vision turned away from them? So they'll be looking for the believers whom they mocked, and they are not to be found in the midst of the fire, for the painful punishment. Indeed, that is truth, the reality. That is the reality, the quarreling of the people of fire. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I am only a warner, and there is not any deity except Allah, the one, the prevailing, Lord of the heavens and the earth, and whatever is between them, the exalted in might and perpetual forgiver. Say, it is great news. قل هو نبأ قل هو نبأ العظيم نبأ عظيم. This is a great news. I had no knowledge of the exalted assembly of angels when they were disputing the creation of Adam. It has not been revealed to me except that I am a clear warner. So mention when your Lord said to the angels, indeed, I am going to create a human being from clay. So when I have proportioned him and breathed into created soul, then fall down to him in prostration. So the angels prostrated, all of them entirely except Iblis. He was arrogant and became among the disbelievers. Allah said, O Iblis, what prevented you from prostrating to that which I created with my hands? We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam with his own hands. The only certain things Allah created with his own hands. Rest of the things Allah said, kun, be, fayakun, and it became. So Allah created Adam alayhi salam with his own hands. Just like pen, qalam, he created with his own hands. His arsh, Allah created with his own hands. And Jannatul Eden, he created with his own hands. 4 things he created with his own hands. They were honored by this way of creation. Were you arrogant or were you among the haughty? He said, I am better than him. Ana khayrum min. Khalaqtani min nar. You created me from fire. Wa khalaqtahu min teen. And you created him from clay. Allah said, then get out of it. Paradise. Indeed you are expelled. Rajim. Indeed upon you is my curse until the day of judgment. He said, my Lord, then reprieve me until the day they are resurrected. Allah said, so indeed you are those of reprieved. So he didn't want to be punished right away. He asked for some time until the time well known. Until the day of time well known. Iblis said, فَبِعِزَّتِكَ, by your might, لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, I will surely mislead all of them. So his animosity was not only for Adam, but also the children of Adam alayhi salam, except among them your chosen servants. إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ, except your chosen servants. Allah said, the truth is my oath, and the truth I say, I will surely fill hell with you and those of them that follow you altogether. So whoever follows Shaitan, Iblis, they will be entered into hell fire. Say, O Muhammad, I do not ask for you it. Ask for the conveying of the Quran any payment, and I am not of the pretentious. Mutakallifeen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like pretentious behavior. It is but a reminder to the worlds, and you will surely know the truth, its information after a time. So this is Surah Sad, and then we move on. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tanzilul Kitabi min Allahil Azizil Hakim. The revelation of the book is from Allah, the exalted, the wise. Indeed, we have sent down to you the book, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in truth. Why? So worship Allah, being sincere to Him in religion. Unquestionably, for Allah is the pure religion, and those who take protectors besides Him, we only worship them that they may bring us nearer to Allah in position. Indeed, Allah will judge between them concerning that over which they differ. Indeed, Allah does He who is a liar and confirmed disbeliever. So this is what people at the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu would say, that we only hold these pious elders, idols, righteous, because they bring us close to Allah. Through them, we can reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah had intended to take a son, He could have chosen from what He creates, whatever He willed. Hu Allahul Wahidul Qahar, exalted is He is Allah, the one, the prevailing. He created the heavens and the earth in truth. He wraps the night over the day, wraps the day over the night, and He has subjected the sun and the moon, each running its course for a specified term. Unquestionably, He is the exalted in might, the perpetual forgiver. He created you from one soul, then He made from you its mate. It made from it its mate, and He produced for you from the grazing livestock 8 mates. He creates you in the womb of your mothers, creation after creation, within 3 darknesses. That is Allah, your Lord. To Him belongs dominion. Lahul mulk, la ilaha illahu. There is no deity except Him. فَأَنَّا تُصْرَفُونَ. So how are you averted? Don't you look at your own creation within the wombs of your mother, upon darknesses? If you disbelieve, indeed Allah is free from need of you, and He does not approve for His servants disbelief. And if you are grateful, He approves it for you, and no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another. Then to your Lord is your return, and He will inform you about what you used to do. Indeed, He is knowing of what is within the breast. Innahu alimun bidhat sudur. Nothing is hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when adversity touches man, he calls his Lord, turning to him alone. Then when he bestows on him a favor from himself, he forgets Allah. He forgets him whom he called upon before, and he attributes to Allah equals to mislead people from his way. Say, enjoy your disbelief for a little time. Qalilan, you are of the companions of fire. Is one who is devoutly obedient during the periods of the night, prostrating and standing in prayer, fearing the hereafter, and hoping for the mercy of his Lord, like the one who does not? They are those who know equal to those who do not know. Only they will remember, people of understanding. So what is highlighted over here? A person who prays in the night, hoping from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He sacrifices his personal comfort in order to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And night worship is mentioned here. It is good to worship during the day, but we also have to dedicate some time to worship in the night, because this is the evidence of person's sincerity. If a person is praying during the day, then okay, why not? But when you're sacrificing from your personal comfort, your rest, you're giving preference to worshiping Allah, that shows that a person is sincere to Allah. That shows that a person is not seeking the approval of people. So we see over here, we have to combine hope and fear, because this is the way of knowledgeable. We don't become extremely afraid that we despair in Allah's mercy, and we do not have too much hope that we become complacent. Say, O my servants who have believed, fear your Lord, for those who do good in this world is good, and the earth of Allah is spacious. Indeed, the patient will be given their reward without account. Say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, indeed I have been commanded to worship Allah, being sincere to Him in religion, and I have been commanded to be the first among you of the Muslims. Say, indeed I fear, if I should disobey my Lord, the punishment of a tremendous day. قُلِ اللَّهُ أَعْبُدُ مُخْلِصًا لَهُ دِينِي. Say, Allah alone do I worship, sincere to Him in my religion. So worship what you will besides Him. Say, indeed the losers are the ones who will lose themselves and their families on the day of resurrection. Unquestionably, ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْخَسْرَانُ الْمُبِينُ. That is the manifest loss. Losing yourself and your family on the day of judgment, great loss. They will have canopies of fire above them, and below them canopies. By that Allah threatens His servants, O my servants, then fear me, Ya ibadi fattaqoon. But those who have avoided Taghut, lest they worship it and turn back to Allah, for them are good tidings. So give good tidings to my servants who listen to speech and follow the best of it. Those are the ones Allah has guided, and those are the people of understanding. There is one who has deserved the degree of punishment to be guided. Then can you save one who is in the fire? But those who have feared their Lord, for them are chambers, above them chambers, built high, beneath which rivers flow. This is the promise of Allah. وَعْدَ اللَّهِ لَا يُخْلِفُ اللَّهُ مِيعَادٍ. Allah does not fail in His promise. Do you not see that Allah sends down rain from the sky and makes it flow as springs in the earth? Then He produces thereby crops of varying colors. Then they dry and you see them turn yellow. Then He makes them scatter debris. Indeed, in that is a reminder for those of understanding. So is the one whose breast Allah has expanded to accept Islam, and he is upon a light from his Lord, like the one whose heart rejects it. Then woe to those whose heart are hardened against the remembrance of Allah. Those are in manifest error. Allah has sent down the best statement, a consistent book, wherein is reiteration. The skins shiver therefrom of those who fear their Lord. What is our reaction when we listen to the Quran? Do we pay attention? Are we moved like it is mentioned over here? Their skins shiver from the fear of Allah. Then their skins and their hearts relax at the remembrance of Allah. That is the guidance of Allah, by which He guides whom He wills. And one whom Allah sends astray, for him there is no guidance. So people who truly fear Allah, when they hear the Quran, their hearts tremble out of fear. And then when they have hope, when they remember Allah, they're reminded of Allah's mercy, it causes them to relax. Then it is He who will shield with His face the worst of the punishment on the day of resurrection, like one secure from it, and it will be said to the wrongdoers, taste what you used to deny, what you used to earn. Before them denied, and punishment came from where they did not perceive. So Allah made them taste disgrace in worldly life, but the punishment of the hereafter is greater, if only they knew. Disbelief and disobedience bring punishment in this dunya also, and in the hereafter also, which is greater punishment. And we have certainly presented for the people in this Quran from every kind of example that they might remember, that they might wake up. It is an Arabic Quran without any deviance, that they might become righteous. Allah presents an example, a slave man owned by quarreling partners and another belonging exclusively to one man. Are they equal in comparison? No way. One person's life is a living hell and other is at peace. One is owned by so many people and one is owned by one person. Praise be to Allah. Alhamdulillah. Bal aktharuhum la ya'lamun. Praise be to Allah. But most of them do not know, which is why they keep turning towards other than Allah. The thing is that if you make Allah the center of your life, meaning that you're concerned about pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're focused on worshipping Him, obeying Him, and you measure everything in your life according to His standards, then your life will be easy. But if your goal is only to please people, this person, that person, then you will only be creating difficulty for yourself. Indeed, you are to die. Innaka mayyitun wa innahum mayyitun. And indeed, they are to die. No matter how long you live, death is coming. Thumma innakum yawm al-qiyamati inda rabbikum takhtasimun. Then on the day of resurrection, before your Lord will dispute. Meaning on the day of judgment, you will argue with each other. Why? Because each person will come demanding their right. In a hadith, we learned that the claimants will get their claims on the day of resurrection. Meaning each person will come forward making demands that this is my right, give it back to me. In a hadith, we learned whoever has wronged his brother should ask for his pardon before his death. As in the hereafter, there will be neither a dinar nor a dirham. So on the day of judgment, we will not be able to pay people back. On the day of judgment, they will ask, offer good deeds, to seek forgiveness today. In a hadith, we learned whoever dies owning a dinar or dirham, it will be paid back from his good deeds, because then there will be no dinar or dirham. The thing is that we do cause harm to other people, sometimes financially, and when it comes to obligations and duties, we do fall short. So it is very important that we give sadaqah with the intention of making up for the wrong that we may have done to others unknowingly, without even realizing things that we can't even remember. So in the month of Ramadan, sign up for daily or monthly donations. Give it with that intention that, Ya Allah, whoever that I have wronged, please make this sadaqah a source of compensation for them, so that they don't come on the day of judgment demanding my good deeds from me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ikhlas, sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us mukhlis. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us muhsin. And all the traits that we have learned of these mukhlis people, make us one of them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from us. And alhamdulillah, we have completed just 23rd. And tomorrow we will continue. Just number 24, Surah Sa'ad. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.